Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on X at Movies TV Mad and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X. A very warm welcome to Tuesday's edition of the DC Universe Daily. I've got a bit of, I suppose it's kind of negativity to impart on you today. It's not really something I enjoy doing, but it's something that's been on the back of my mind for quite some time. As you already know, I'm a huge Superman fan, so I'm optimistic and excited about Superman Legacy. There's elements of me that are kind of skeptical about it, skeptical of James Gunn being the one writing and directing it, but there's the other side of me, of course, that's kind of really optimistic and excited about what James's plans are for this movie and for this universe going forward, but without seeing anything or knowing anything is very difficult to judge. Unfortunately, not everyone has my refreshing attitude, as I want to discuss the shills versus the vocal minority of the Snyderverse fandom at war with each other. For quite some time, I have been very dismayed by modern day audiences and the way they talk about entertainment on the internet. Growing up, as I've mentioned to you on this channel many times, when we used to watch films and television, it used to be, oh, that's great, let's watch it another 200 times. Or when VCRs came out and we could record and re-watch stuff. Oh, this is not very good. Oh well, let's move on. That has changed. There's been a paradigm shift in the modern day era in how people respond to entertainment. So there's always this autopsy when a movie comes out. So I remember Man of Steel coming out. An autopsy. Why didn't it make $1 billion? Why wasn't it like the Marvel Cinematic Universe? BVS and The Last Jedi were the same, right? BVS didn't make $1 billion. There was this, people saying there's this wrong with it. It's, Zack Snyder is a terrorist. Zack Snyder's the worst thing ever. Do you remember? That's how people respond. Oh, he's the best thing ever. That's the thing. There's the toxic positivity and there's the toxic negativity. That's where we are on the internet today. And this is what happens when you give millions of lunatics a voice on the internet, and they're just the content creators. They're just the YouTubers. I'm a YouTuber. I'm not really talking about myself, but I am a lunatic that's been given a voice. Let's be clear about that. Let's not get it twisted. I'm just one that can't be bothered to edit, promote, market my content. Because my content isn't worth marketing. It's shit. It's just about me sounding off. It's about my vanity. That's why I do this, as you all know. Anyway, I digress and I will continue. So I don't like the way a lot of modern day audiences talk about film. But it all comes from somewhere. And it all comes from the way the industry is today set up. Rotten Tomatoes, reviews. People like Grace Randolph, she loves the autopsy. And then there's the other, people on YouTube creating content with the autopsy of a piece of entertainment. The way they even talk about something that's deemed and perceived to be good makes me laugh. They treat it like the second coming. I remember when The Dark Knight was released. Oh my God, this is the way all CBM should be made. Oh my God, the first Avengers. No, fuck The Dark Knight, it's way too dark. This is the way superhero movies, comic book movies should be made. It's this huge reaction to something that's merely entertainment. I understand the passion about a film better, and TV shows, entertainment in general, better than anyone. I do my own plays. I work with an amateur dramatic society. I've been watching television. My little box as a child was my best fucking friend. It was my portal to a better world, because I've always thought this world is fucking shit. But I just hate the way people talk about movies today. I'm surprised we don't start wheeling directors out, putting them on a fucking cross and nailing their fucking torso and, their legs and their feet and their hands on a fucking cross. It's become that bad. I agree with a lot of you with what you're saying about film today and with the people who work in it and the creative bankruptcy and the way they talk about their customers and their product. By not talking about their product, they don't even market their products anymore. They talk politics instead. I get it. I get why a lot of you are angry. But we're treating entertainment like it's so important, so huge. And it's important to me as well. Don't get me wrong. It's important to me as well. But the reactions I see on social media, the hatred for studios and filmmakers is, it's gone beyond good taste. And I think, like, as I said the other day, the guy who wrote the Game of Thrones books, right? I always forget his fucking name, the guy who can't be bothered to write the last chapter or the next chapter of his book. Him, right? He was moaning about, how this glee of failure and how it's become very toxic, publicly about entertainment. He ain't wrong. I know where it stems from, but it is a problem. But it's a problem the industry have created themselves. If you go on Rotten Tomatoes and post reviews, as far as I'm concerned, you're part of the problem. If you go on Rotten Tomatoes and take notice of those fucking scores, you're part of the problem. If you go on Rotten Tomatoes and you're a verified critic and you review a film in a way because you want to shoot it down, you want it to have a low score, or you purposely want it to have a high score because it's representing Wham-Man, or it's a film is starring Tom Cruise and you want to say, look, he's a male lead, let's bump that up. I don't know. You're part of the problem. I think anyone who has anything to do with these fucking metrics is part of the problem. So that's part one of what I wanted to talk about today. But there's a deeper issue here. I'm on social media all the time, and I noticed this new trend of the Shields for Superman Legacy, who keep on telling us it's going to be the bestest movie ever, even though they don't know what the fucking film's going to be, right? And then you've got the vocal minority of Snyder fans. Let's be clear, the majority of my fellow DC Snyder fans are beautiful, brilliant people, family people, people with children, good, pure people who celebrate online what they love about Snyder's work. That's okay. And by the way, even if you're a Snyder fan and you didn't really like Rebel Moon, that's okay. If you're a Snyder fan and you didn't like Army of the Dead, that's okay. It doesn't make you a disloyal, it doesn't make you a disloyalist. But as I've always made clear, since starting this channel, I am not here for Zack Snyder. I'm not here for James Gunn. I'm not here for any fucking director. I'm here to talk about entertainment. I love enjoying my entertainment. I don't want to hate my entertainment. I try not to talk about stuff that I hate. But you've got to talk about the negative as well, because there's a lot of negative in this industry today. So that's the next chapter of my conversation. This pathetic war between, Superman Legacy Shields and the toxic minority of the Snyderverse fandom going at each other. First of all, if you're one of these members of the toxic minority of this Snyderverse fandom who have attacked James Gunn and, drove him off of Twitter, or X as we're calling it these days, hopefully it becomes Twitter again sooner rather than later. I don't like Elon Musk. I don't like the fucking fact that he conned us all into buying a blue tick and now he's doing premium fucking plus. What a fucking con artist. I'm not a right winger, but I support your fact to be a right winger, right? Let's be clear about that. You can support anyone you fucking want if you do it constructively. Anyway, don't talk about fucking politics anyway. But, so, this vocal minority of the Snyderverse fandom who have attacked James Gunn, calling him names, who keep on putting, clips of Peacemaker and James Gunn's work up on social media and try and make him look like, a bad director, I don't support you. Peacemaker was probably his best work, in my opinion. And, you're not talking about this, you haters, but actually there's a lot of dark elements to Peacemaker. Christopher Smith is a young guy, or I don't know is he a young guy? He's probably a guy in his late 30s, 40s, whatever, right? Was brought up by a very bad fucking guy. And despite that, he's trying his best, even in the Suicide Squad, to be to be better than his father. He's got a pet eagle who he absolutely adores, he compassionately loves, and the scenes with Eagle in Peacemaker were beautiful, and it shows you to James's heart, by the way. So what you're saying about James Gunn is absolutely wrong, right? But then we've got the other side of it. We've got the Superman Legacy James Gunn shills. They are the same problem as the vocal minority of the Snyderverse fandom, right? Make no mistake about that. And they're arguing with these Snyder fans all the time. I understand why you're triggered by these people. I try not to respond to the vocal minority of Snyderverse fans because they are not representing the real Snyder fan base. But they make the rest of us look bad. And when I say I'm part of the Snyder fan base, I appreciate his DC movies, but I'm not here for Zack. Let's be clear about that. So you understand that I'm a general DC fan. I think that Bruce Timm, the pioneer who's given us the DC animated universe, should have a statue outside Burbank, right? They're the kind of thing, I look at DC as a whole, if you understand me, right? And I'm pretty knowledgeable about things that have happened in DC. I'm not deeply knowledgeable about the comics. I fell in love with DC via the live action, and the first thing I ever saw in moving pictures, Superman the movie. That's where I am. But this vocal minority of Snyderverse fans even have hated Christopher Reeve, have said disgusting things about Christopher Reeve. There's no need for it. I love Superman the movie and Man of Steel equally, right? But these people would, take, the stuff they said about Dick Donner as well. Absolutely disgusting. Anyway, these shills are just as bad as this Snyderverse fandom, this minority of Snyderverse fans, because they're shilling a film they really know jack shit about. They know the cast, they know some of the characters that are going to be in the movie, but that's all you know. You don't actually know this is going to be a good movie or not. You don't. These are the same people. Now, and I need to move this conversation on again. Now, if we remember back to, was it last year? It was last year, right? At CinemaCon. Because let's go back to the Flash movie, and there were whispers coming from Access Media like Variety and The Hollywood Reporter. There were whispers coming from WB that the Flash movie directed by Andres Muschietti starring Ezra Miller was going to be the next The Dark Knight. Now, we've all seen it now. We know there's no way in fucking hell. They were lying. They knew it wasn't, but they were desperate for this movie to make a lot of money. James Gunn said it was one of the best films in the genre. He was lying. He was doing his job at the end of the day, trying to make money for Warner Brothers. But I mean, when something as tarnished as the Flash movie, you can't be putting your name on it. It wasn't a good look for James Gunn, and I've called him out for that because I have a balance when it comes to James. A really good, unique writer-director, but I criticise him when I think he's wrong, and that's okay. I'm trying to speak a bit slowly to the thickos who think that, if you're not always speaking positively about someone and if you're criticising someone, you hate them. No, that's not how it works in the real world or the generation I was brought up in. Okay, anyway, I like to educate stupid people. So, they showed, they took the Flash movie to CinemaCon, and they showed the entire movie, I think, or a cut of the movie to people there. I think there was some Access Media, there was some bloggers, influencers, and even fans, I think, that bought a ticket to go there. So they come out all over Twitter at the time, over a year ago now. People were coming on social media telling us this was a fucking good movie, that this was the bestest movie ever. Why am I talking about this? Because it's important to never forget that. Because these are the same people who are going on threads asking James Gunn questions. These are the people who are making Superman Legacy look like a much anticipated movie. I'm not saying it's not. As I say, it's really anticipated by me. I'm a huge Superman fan. It's exciting. I want it to be great. Let's not get that twisted. Right. That's why I'm talking about this. Now, Grace Randolph started an interesting conversation a while back, was it a year or two ago, when she gave us the comparison to DC fans on the internet, then DC fans, in the theatre. Not many DC fans supporting DC films in the theatre, but there's a lot of people shilling DC on the internet. She made a good point, and this is what she's talking about. The shills on the internet versus the people in theatres. DCEU movies have not made money, right? A DC movie hasn't made a profit. Let's not get it twisted. A DCEU movie hasn't made a profit since David F. Sandberg's Shazam, the first film. If I'm wrong about that, please correct me, but I think I'm right. Even Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, that's made the most box office since the first Aquaman, won't be making a profit. Don't get that twisted either. But this is interesting now, because we don't know. This is the big thing. This is the big problem here. The big worry for James Gunn. That we don't know if his movie will be supported in the cinema. And breaking news, when I woke up this morning, a brand new Jurassic Park movie will be released in cinemas on July the 2nd, 2025. Now, Superman Legacy is released on July the 11th, 2025. So let's do our dates, right? So 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. So 9 days, right? Yeah, I have to count. I can't, I'm slow, right? I'm sorry. I apologize. Anyway, so about 9 days after a Jurassic Park movie, Superman Legacy comes out. Now, this is interesting because I don't think that's going to be the first release around that area. That could be pretty huge as well. Interesting. Already it's getting a bit packed in there. So 9 days, you say, well, Mick, that's just over a week. Maybe, the hype and, the big box office that movie makes will come and go. And, Superman Legacy being released on July the 11th is fine. If that Jurassic Park movie is, and it's got is it bringing back one of its previous original writers back as well? I know it's got really good people on this Jurassic Park movie. Now, I don't give a shit about Jurassic Park. They've made too many movies. They've milked it fucking dry. But a lot of people love going to see these live action dinosaur movies, right? Even the last movie made good money, despite it not being a very good film. I could only get through half of it. I didn't go to the cinema to watch it. But people do go and watch these movies, whether they're good or not. So I'm saying 9 days later, there's a possibility if it's a really good movie, and there's a good chance because there's really good people working on it, the Superman Legacy has a problem here. I don't think Superman Legacy at this point can remain on July the 11th. Or can it? Can it be bold? Can they be that confident about this movie? A movie they know the script of. I don't, you don't. We don't know what this movie is going to be about. We've heard leaks. Gunn's dismissed all the leaks for this movie, right? So we don't know what this movie is. We don't. We simply don't. We know who's going to be predominantly in it, but we don't know the quality of it. We've seen James Gunn's CBN work. It's very good. He won a Saturn Award for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which Kevin Feige had to collect. Imagine that. The only fucking thing the MCU won an award for, I think I mentioned this yesterday, is something that the co-CEO of DC Studios was involved with. What a fucking shambles, by the way. Anyway, that's not our problem. We're only interested in DC. So, is this film going to be that good that it can be released 9 days after a Jurassic Park movie? We don't know what's going to be populated around that. Don't forget, there's been lots of projects delayed because of the SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild of America strikes. So there's going to be a lot more movies released next year. And there's not enough time in 1 year to kind of separate movies. And plus, everyone wants that summer date. Now, we know that the summer dates, the summer blockbuster haven't been as big a thing as they used to be. But there's no question Hollywood want to go back to that kind of era of the summer blockbuster, but you have to release good fucking blockbusters. Good people working on that Jurassic Park movie. James Gunn's written and directing a Superman movie. So they want to put it, this is a huge deal for Warner Brothers. This will be the biggest film they release in 2025. And it's supposed to launch a brand new DC universe. So important. But the evidence, going back to the shills at CinemaCon and what they said, and, these DCU accounts, who seem to be the same people, by the way, who were shilling the Flash movie, who were defending Ezra Miller. So, despite that and a few comic book fanboys and girls, I don't believe at this moment there's real hype from the general audience for this movie. Plus, there's going to be other movies. Superman Legacy won't be the only thing being released. I'm playing devil's advocate because I have to be balanced. If I'm going to have a platform, I have to be balanced and I have to give you a realistic impression of what's going on. Because in the past, I've been as bad as some of you guys. Oh my God, it's a DC movie. It's coming out. It's The Flash. It's Aquaman Lost Kingdom. It's going to make so much money. Then the disappointment comes in and then we all live in the real fucking world and we wake up. I'm not going to do that with Superman Legacy. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to be optimistic sometimes. I'm going to paint you an honest picture of how I'm feeling because it's huge for me. It's absolutely so exciting that a Superman movie is coming out. I'm so fucking hyped. But I can't be blind to the realities of modern day audiences or what's going on in Hollywood today or even the red flags that we've seen thus far. James Gunn was always writing this movie. This was put into place way before Zaslav came in, but it was Zaslav who decided to put him in charge of DC Studios or make him co-CEO, which means he's in charge of the storytelling and the execution of these movies and what they're going to be like. He's got a lot of authority. Now, he speaks a very good game, but we won't know until we see how these movies and these projects and these streaming shows and these games are being executed. Now, you look at Suicide Squad to kill the Justice League. What a disaster that's fucking been. I'm not a gamer. I don't understand gaming, but I know a lot of people, again, are upset. It's that reaction from modern day consumers and audiences again. The autopsy, the anger, the representation element, all the angry opinions, YouTubers manifesting and manipulating you all to get those views, and they wind you up, and this is where we're living. I'm not that kind of content creator, and I never have been. In terms of these content creators who expose Hollywood, I think they're important, but they're also only doing it for their own ends, and they've become celebrities themselves. So they're doing really well into manipulating your anger. I'm not saying that a lot of the stuff they say is wrong. A lot of the stuff they say is right. And it's good that they're exposing this era of creative bankruptcy. But I don't think they actually care about movies or entertainment. But does it even matter if they're exposing the truth? But the thing is with Superman Legacy is it has got competition. It's going to have more competition. And the question will be, will Warner Brothers feel safe in keeping it there? Now, with the DCEU movies, they moved, when a Marvel movie came anywhere near them, they shit themselves. So it'd be interesting now if a Marvel movie was released close to Superman Legacy, and I don't know the Marvel release dates because everything's been kind of stopped for 1 year. This Deadpool 3 movie isn't really a real MCU movie. Officially it is. But really there are no MCU movies being released in cinemas this year. Because that Deadpool 3 movie's been in development way before Disney bought Fox anyway. So it's not, they'll take, oh look, the MCU's back. We've got, a hyped up movie. We look forward to seeing the trailer when it's released at Super Bowl. So you've got this situation where this toxic minority of Snyder fans and these toxic shills going at each other. And then you've got a geezer called Truth 31 who's on the side of the shills. He's shilling the shit out of Superman Legacy, not because he's a Superman fan, not because he cares about Superman, because he hates Zack Snyder, or I think he hates his fans even more. So this guy has created a platform. He's exactly what I've just been describing with these other successful content creators, where they find something to manipulate, they find anger to harness. Hate is the most easiest way to make money these days on producing content. And we all know that. Unpopular opinions. You know, they're asking you to give your unpopular opinions and things like that. For entertainment to progress, for audiences to calm down, we have to stop giving these autopsies of failed movies or great movies, or saying every movie should be like Barbie now, every movie should be like Oppenheimer. That's a dumb statement. Some people are saying that, right? But I think Superman Legacy, if it's a good movie, can save cinema. But even more vital to that, it can save Warner Brothers. This is the thing. This is how huge this movie is. Is that how huge James Gunn is seeing it? Does he understand the risk he's taking by being involved with DC, by making a Superman movie? There's nothing bigger. You know, attaching your name to a Superman movie is huge. And as I said yesterday, a lot of modern day directors have tried doing that. Snyder, Singer, it hasn't worked out for them. Where are their careers now? So I say Snyder's making streaming movies. He's not making cinematic movies anymore. And where's Bryan Singer? Cancelled. Not because he was attached to Superman, because he's a bad person. Allegedly, right? But his Superman Returns movie didn't work out. There's lots of things I love about that movie, but that's where we are. So being attached to DC and Superman can be a poison chalice. We all know that. We've seen it before. Will anyone be able to do what Dick Donner did? We discussed that as well yesterday, how there were no expectations when Superman the movie came out. I don't think there was much pressure apart from the producers, the Salkinds, for that movie to do well. Dick Donner was under a lot of pressure from them, and they fired him after the movie was released, but he did something. He created a paradigm shift. And there weren't, it's funny back then. He made a successful superhero movie. No one else tried to, let's make lots of superhero movies, because I think everyone saw how difficult it was for him to make that one. It was near impossible to make Superman the movie. Even today, when you look at those physical effects, they're outstanding, and a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them still stand up. And that's amazing. They have no right to still stand up today. A lot of Dick's flying for Superman in Superman the movie is better than anything that Singer and Snyder delivered in terms of the flying in their movies. And I still believe that. I still believe the elements of physical effects for flying that Donner did. The way he did it was perfect, and it worked. And I think these days you should just be doing what Donner did, but just touching it up with CGI where you need to. And we'll see what James Gunn does there. So there's so much riding on Superman Legacy, but it doesn't matter about the toxic minority of Snyderverse fans. It doesn't matter about, the toxic positivity coming from the shills. They're not the fans. They're not the butts on seats you need to make $1 billion at the box office. And this, my friends, is why the shills didn't help The Flash make a profit. Basically, these very shills that had early access to this film, the Flash movie, didn't go and support it in cinemas, by the way. It was quite dumb. They allowed some ordinary people to go and see that at CinemaCon. And then those people didn't go to cinemas to see it, because every ticket helps at the end of the day. That's the situation. So it'd be interesting how they promote and market Superman Legacy. This movie has to bring the interest of the general audience. And the general audience haven't been interested in the DCEU, in truth, since Wonder Woman. Or, no, make a mistake, since Aquaman, the first Aquaman, that made over $1 billion. It's clear back then the public were very excited to see Jason Momoa as Arthur Curry, Aquaman, because I think that's one of the few things the audience actually enjoyed from Justice League. And that's why that movie did so well. That's the last movie to garner any interest from the general audience in terms of the DCEU. Now, we've seen with the Joker movie and the Batman movie that people were very interested. The general audience went to see that movie, right? Those movies did well because they were from a vision by an auteur, and this interests general audiences today. I expect Joker 2 to do well, maybe not as well as the first movie, but well, and the Batman 2 to do very well, and I expect record viewers and streaming hours for the Penguin stuff, for the Penguin series as well, starring Colin Farrell on Max. But we do need a change of mentality because the way audiences are today isn't good. And it's time to think about, as audiences and consumers, how we conduct ourselves. Because right now, we've got nothing to be proud of.